Good afternoon, YouTube, and those of you in the reefing community. I wanted to take a moment to talk about fish nutrition, as well as coral nutrition, what my fish and corals get to eat, as well as how often I feed my fish. So I'm just going to go ahead and start out. As you will notice, I have a very large assortment of food and supplements that my livestock gets, anything from frozen to vitamins to pellets to nori to coral food, and in the middle HPD. So obviously fish and corals are living animals, so they need to eat in order to grow, be healthy, to show their true colors, just basically everything, that all the reasons that we need to eat. So when I first got in the hobby, all my fish got was frozen mysis. Not even PE mysis, it was whatever Petco sells, which that was almost 3.5 to 4 years ago. And that's all I would feed my fish, once a day. Which frozen food is great. I still feed my fish frozen food. It's just, I think you need more to have a well-rounded source of nutrition. So from that, I started doing nori, which obviously I had herbivores. So they got 1 strip of nori a day, 1 cube of mysis a day, and that was back when I had my 60-gallon tank, which again helped my fish, in particular at the time, my yellow tang wasn't really showing a full belly. I had troubles keeping other fish healthy, like copper band butterflies, angelfish, pretty much anything that wasn't a clownfish, or at the time my Niger trigger, I had a hard time keeping healthy. And it's just because those guys were the aggressive eaters. So I started to look at other sources of food, and that's when I started looking at the New Life Spectrum line of food, which is a great food, guys. I don't use it that much anymore, for reasons I'll go into in a minute, but it's a great food. It's affordable. Fish like it. You can find it just about anywhere, and it's got pretty good nutritional value in it. But obviously, as we progress in the hobby, we try to research and do other things. So from that point, I went to experimenting with the HPD, which this is my second tub that I've ever purchased, and my fish love this stuff. It's not hard to make. It's like 25 bucks, and so far I haven't even opened this one, and my first tub's lasting me like a year and a half. So you get a great value, and it's through the roof as far as nutritional value. I don't know the exact numbers on it, but my fish are fat. Everyone that I know that feeds this, their fish are fat, so can't complain. So that's kind of how I progressed, was frozen food, nori, some pellets, and I still was only doing one of those forms a day. I wasn't doing various feedings throughout the day. So kind of going back to the New Life Spectrum, that's when I learned that the New Life Spectrum was extremely high in nutrients as far as phosphates go, which back in the day was probably one of the reasons I was having issues with algae. I don't know if I have any videos still on YouTube, but back in the day, my 60-gallon, it was a wreck, to say the least. When I very, very, very first started it, I mean, I'm talking hang on the back protein skimmer, minimal flow, minimal lighting, minimal rock, and not the best water quality. But I think that kind of had once I got more educated and experienced in the hobby, I then started to kind of assume it was the food that was leaching phosphates and high nitrates in the system. So I kind of progressed from that to other foods. About a year ago, I started using the LRS Reef Frenzy, just because I got my first copper band butterfly, and he was a very picky eater, and my local fish store suggested that they had luck with these guys, with this food for those guys, and I did. I had excellent luck, and so every now and then, I don't really feed this that much anymore. It's more so kind of like a once a week deal, like just a treat for the fish and corals, if you will, just to kind of change it up. But Going back to the pellet foods, as the New Life Spectrum had higher nutrients, I was looking for something a little lower nutrients, but still high, I guess, protein, if you will. And that's when I went to the Sustainable Aquatics Hatchery Diet, and I love that food. As you'll see, it's pretty much empty. My fish love it. My only complaint is it is a slow sinking pellet, so make sure you have a feeder ring, otherwise it's going to get sucked up into your overflow and it's gone before the fish even get it. But it's definitely one of the highest has one of the highest nutritional values for the fish that I have found, and I will continue to use it. However, last week I went to go purchase some more at my local fish store, and they didn't have any, but they recommended the Ocean Nutrition formula, which when I was comparing the proteins, fats, and everything like that in the food, they're very close, very similar. I mean, you're not going to go without. However, and this is infused with garlic. However, these sink way too fast for my liking, so I have to feed a very small amount and literally watch my fish closely to make sure they eat it. And I've got, as you guys know, Antheus clowns, a couple tangs, angelfish. Like, I've got an assortment of fish, and not all of them notice the food's in the tank at the same time. So it sinks too fast for my liking. I'll continue to feed it, but I just gotta be a little more attentive when I feed it. So let me see. We'll go ahead and I'll talk about the ick shield. Now, the ick shield I got just kind of as a preventative measure for my fish against ick, which the fish don't like it. I'll be honest with you. My powder blue is the only fish that'll eat it. And it's only if it's the first thing I feed him in the morning after he's gone some like 14 hours without eating. From basically the time I go to work to the time I wake up in the morning and feed him. And he's the only one that'll eat it. Now, with that, you gotta be careful, because if your corals eat it, it's gonna kill your corals. I think that might have something to do with why my octospawn is acting up. I think it might have ingested one of those, and it's not doing so hot. I might have to cut off one of the heads to save the coral, but I'm just monitoring it for now. But anyhow, I really don't know if it is preventing the fish from getting ick, because my 2 tanks have ick right now, even after being in quarantine, the tank being fallow, basically doing everything I can to prevent ick. Earlier this week, my tangs got ick. Now they're not showing white spot, which that's another story. I know the ick cycle, so I'm assuming that has something to do with it. But I still put it in there just in the hopes that it'll help when they ingest it. But that's really the only reason why I have that. I mean, the container's pretty much full. I very rarely use it. And I have noticed I've had to soak it in garlic in order to really get the fish to pay attention to it. So that's it for my pellet food, my frozen food, and my HPD, as well as the nori. That's what the fish get. They'll get mysis once a day, soaked in Selcon. They'll get a little cube, like a very small cube of HPD once a day. In the morning, they will get some form of pellet, and then right before I go to work, I will throw a sheet of nori and another small thing of pellet in the tank. So they get fed 4 times a day, small amounts, and they eat it all, and they're all happy, healthy. And it also, I think, is reason why my fish are still doing well with the ick in the tank. Because they get a lot of nutrients throughout the day, different kinds of nutrients. Now, let's go ahead and talk corals, guys. The corals will eat the HPD, whatever floats around the tank. It's good for them. I've given my Scully a chunk of it just based off of seeing it on American Reef, and it ate it. Now, as many of you know, I run the Zeovit system, so I really don't need to feed my corals based off of how the Zeovit system works, but I still feel that they need extra nutrients as well. So about once a week, I will give my Scully and my Fungia plate, as well as just a couple of the other bigger LPS colonies. Some of the Fauna Marin LPS grow, that they eat it. I have noticed since I've started giving them this versus the frozen food, they've grown a lot quicker. and their colors seem to be more vibrant. So I'm going to continue doing that. I'm sure they still get some of the frozen food just when I feed the tank. And then Coral Frenzy I've been using for probably about a couple years now, and I'll do that maybe twice a month. They really don't get it a whole lot, and the main reason is because I don't want to introduce any more nutrients to the system than I already do. I've got a fairly heavy feeding schedule, and I also have the little verminted snails attached to my rock, and I notice when I feed this, they multiply quicker versus when I don't feed it. There's less nutrients for them to get in the water, more particulates, and they kind of die off and don't really become a nuisance. So really this at most is twice a month, but it's more so when I feel like I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, so that's what I feed my fish, and that's why I believe my fish are happy and healthy, obviously in addition to the way I have my system set up, but I believe this is the biggest reason for their longevity and their overall health. I will give you guys an update on the fish and the ick situation probably tomorrow, but if you have any other comments, suggestions, questions about what I can do, what I'm doing, or if there's anything I recommend, or if there's anything you suggest for me to do as far as my feeding, let me know. I look forward to hearing back from you guys. Everyone have a good one.